Hey everyone, Shannon here from School of Trade. Today we're going to be taking a look at a long trade here on the Russell. My order's in place here. There we go. And there we go. So we're going to be managing this one a little bit differently. The wave pattern is absolutely perfect. We've got just a beautiful pullback right into the trigger zone, beautiful bounce right out of the level. I mean, everything is setting up perfectly for a wave long. The problem is we've gone really high really fast, okay? Since we started this reversal at 3 o'clock this morning, we really haven't looked back. And this move up, we've gone from the lows down here at 12.21 even, all the way up to the highs up here at 12.38. That's 170 ticks to the upside. Now, that's a really big move up, and that came mostly on the backs of this big spike here at 9.30. This big spike here really drove most of that move. I mean, that went from the low at 12.22.8 all the way up to a spike high at the time at 12.34. So because of that, I'm not really expecting a huge runner anymore. We've already exhausted the range that we can expect. So really what I'm looking for is just gunning back up to the highs. We've just being a little bit more conservative on the trade. I don't want to try to force this to go ripping another, 100, 200 ticks higher. It might, but chances are it's not going to. So because of that, we're going to take our targets off at the normal first area here at 1237.1 this time, and then the final target's just going to come off back to a retest of the high a day, which is at 1237. So if we can get these targets filled, we're looking at a first target, 2 contracts off there, coming off at 20 ticks, which is still a pretty good move. That'll be 40 ticks there, and then the final target up at 37.8, look at this 27 ticks. So even though we're going a little bit more conservatively, we're still looking to pull out 94 ticks on the trade, and that really kind of speaks, volumes in terms of how good the setup is. So everything looking picture perfect, going for 94 ticks as a total, just back up to the high a day, and you can see we're already catching that movement pretty quickly. This type of movement does go off pretty quick, especially since this is really the first deep pullback we've had since, 3 o'clock? Well, I guess since 9:30, once the market opens, with that little pullback at the open and then a rip right back up again. So since then, this is really the first time we've gotten any type of substance when it comes to a pullback. The rest have been relatively small. So another reason why, we're really kind of digging the look of this long trade here. So we're in long, 4 contracts, 1235.1. Stop is down at 1234.1. First target coming off at the normal, 37.1. Second target, a little bit more conservative, taking the other 2 off there at 37.8. So we'll be back in a little bit. Might not have to be back in a little bit. It might just go now. But if it takes a little bit longer, we'll pause the video and we'll come back and we'll see if we can start getting those targets filled on the way up. All right, so we've come 1 tick away from our target twice now. We went up to 1237, failed, 1237, failed. Oh, there we go, perfect. I was going to say I'm going to move my stop to break even regardless, just because I didn't want to put any more risk, especially if they're not hitting it. And the second target we actually came 1 tick away from as well. So because of that, I'm going to lock in even more aggressively under this last little pullback we had here, just to prevent any situation where, it comes back on us. This is a very fast move. Normally I would have locked my stop in right here at around 36.9 and we would have been out of the trade already, but because it moves so quickly, chances are it's probably going to retest those highs again. So I don't want to get out too early, but I do want to lock my stop in a little bit closer. So stops at 1235. Let's do 35.8, and that way, if it does come back down on us, we get some profit out of it. That'll lock in, a decent amount at least. Not, it's not zero, which I guess is the big part of it. But looking back up to the highs here, 1237.8. This is kind of do or die situation here for the buyers. They need to dig up into these highs now, especially since they're kind of flirting around with them up here. They hit that 37.7. They couldn't fill that 37.8, which is where our targets were, and now they're just kind of rattling around again. So because of that, we're just locking the stop into break even, plus a little bit here, just to prevent any possibility if it comes back. If it does come back on us, then we lock in 7 ticks on the final portion. It'll be 14. Obviously not what we want, but we're also not taking 0 on the trade either. So we'll give it a little bit of time here, see if it can pop up. We did come close, came 1 tick away, but that's kind of the story so far. We came 1 tick away here from our first target. We did it again here, and then we finally broke through. And that breakthrough, you can tell there was a lot of people that were trying to sell this as if it were a high, because as soon as it broke through those highs, it just ripped right through it. It usually is indicative of a stop run. So there could be a lot of sellers that are getting kind of stopped out right now, and if that is the case, that should fuel a move back above this high a day. And because of that, again, we're being a little more conservative here and taking 37.8. But if that is the case, we should see this thing push right through without much of a problem. But we may have to pause it if it wants to do this thing where it did last time, come to it, one tick away a couple times, and we'll be back in a little bit, see if we can get that target filled at 37.8. Otherwise, stop. Well, we've got this reversal bar here. With a reversal bar, I'm going to lock my stop in even closer. I'm going to put it down at 36.4. So it's either going to fill my target or my stop, and that's pretty much where I'm going to be done with the trade. So we'll give it a little bit of time, see if it wants to reverse back up to the highs and give us our fill at 37.8. All right, edging up back on these highs again, one tick away. There we go. Finally got it filled. Thank you, Russell. Good Lord, making you work for it. Beautiful move overall. You can't really ask for a much better setup than that. Absolutely picture perfect wave pattern. Everything lined up perfectly, and just had to be a little bit more conservative on our targets. And you can see that they've been faltering the whole way up. Before we got to our first target, they paused out a little bit. Then they filled us. And then we got up to our second target, paused out a little bit, and then they filled us. We're kind of seeing that the whole way up. And that's just, again, kind of what we were expecting. We're expecting this to be a pretty grindy move up here. So we're out of the trade. We're done with it. We got our profit locked in. 94 ticks on the trade. 2 off at 20, 2 off at 27. Can't ask for a much better setup than that. So that's going to be the trade. $940 in the bank. If you have any questions about it, feel free to send an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.